Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be getting started here shortly for Draw 6. Got a good one on our hands as Epping takes on Gauthier. My name is Martin. I'll be doing commentary for you for this game. I think I'm running solo, so any chat participation is great. Opening draw comes in, top 8, so I'm probably exchanging hits. Moving quite a bit, still should be good. Joey, I don't know what the prize pool is for this. Let me see if I can track that down. According to Curling Zone, it says there's 24 teams playing for a $27,000 purse. Still exchanging hits here, so it looks like your normal, just kind of getting the rest out and exchange hits. Nothing too crazy. Well, on pace for a blink in. Yeah, Joey, that's probably a safe case. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with price structures, especially being down here from the States and not a cash tournament player, a cash field player. More hits. More hits. Hit. Roll towards center. Broom down right away. Wasting no time. Center. Quick to put the broom down. See another hit. A little bit too long. Should be a pretty easy. Hit and roll towards a little bit closer to center, but still pretty blinky. Hit and rolls out. And we have a blank. We'll take a quick break here and be back for second end of Epping versus Gauthier. And we are back. After the first end was blanked, looks like Gauthier is going in here. John will be looking to set up a corner here, so we'll get some rocks in play here. Once again, my name is Martin. I'll be doing commentary solo for this draw, so anyone in the chat wants to make any comment, have any questions, feel free to shout something out. Corner got up nicely. Set up a tight guard here. Got a bit of, needs to curl a bit more to get over, but yep, good finish and covers most of that rock here. We'll see what they elect to do here. Looks like we got a little maybe a tick shot here. Tick it and might be able to spin in. Having to go a little bit from line. Seems to be coming in. Ought to be pretty close here. Maybe just a hair much. Yep. Just a little too thick, so we're putting that back up there. Yeah, adjusting it a little bit over, yeah. Looks like that looks a little bit better. Not a ton of room to put a second guard in. So looking to go top 8, top 12 here, looks like. Got a bit of curling to do. That should finish it just nicely. Top 12. Well, gotta start ripping the guards here. Should be able to get both or be pretty close here. Oh, we're just getting the top one. Now we'll see if they elect to put the guard back up or call another one in there. Covers it completely. Now, question here. We ripping it or we going in? Looks like electing to play this little quiet tap and roll and use the guards themselves. On it early to hold the line. Don't really want to wreck on that top one. Yeah, it looks like they were unable to avoid it, so I ended up sweeping down into it and getting a thicker roll. Unable to kill that rock though, so it ends up being back 12 here. Got another hit and roll. See if they can roll and to a spot where they cover half of it and have it half covered by the long center. Oh, and taking a tumble there. Don't know. It looked to be online, so I wonder if he just kicked it off to the side. Early in the season, you'll see these falls. We actually saw fall in draw 5 on a very important shot in the 8th end. See what John wants to do here. Oh, pretty hard for line here. It looks to be coming in just nicely. Make contact and get a tiny bit of a flop to the inside. Still open, you can see about 3/4 of it. Up to call the broom, a little hack waiter here. just a little bit on the high side, so kind of back out in the open. Just discussing where exactly we want to roll to with this shot here. Just being mindful of this next shot, depending on where you go. May either leave a double, but doubles maybe not backs, it may be jams on that back red. Just taking everything into play here. That mate will have a decision here for Jacques if they want to try to take on this double and where exactly to hit it. See, I think we have to hit the one on the left side of the screen first, which isn't. See if it rolls big enough to get the one over the top of the back red. Makes good contact. Rolls to yellow, still a shot. Yeah, that was going to be the problem, hitting the one on the left side first. Takes quite a bit of that roll out, but pretty good effort. So while we see them kind of line up the next shot, just kind of curious about where everyone's from here. So I'm curling here in the United States, curling out of Oklahoma City, if anyone's familiar with that. We are an arena club, and by arena, it's kind of talking about like shared hockey ice. So for me, I kind of joined curling a few years ago, and for fun. And it's been a blast. So, and I can remember a few years ago we weren't getting this kind of access to be able to watch curling. So excited to partner with Curling Zone for the broadcasting and bring you guys some curling. So I've been curling. Oh gosh, probably been through 2 Olympic cycles. So, but just recreationally. So it's just cool to see these kind of higher level games and shots that I wouldn't dare try it. Definitely wouldn't try it during league, but maybe try it. Some bond spills here and there. But it's definitely been fun. Had the opportunity to broadcast a few games earlier with Sean and get his insight as a competitive player. Yeah, Megan, it's been great to take it up for fun. Yeah, I've got a lot of close friends from curling, and good reason to take vacation. Last weekend I was down in Huntsville, Alabama, for their Rocket City Spiel. So shout out to Huntsville, especially on the off chance they're one of the few, some of the viewers listening to the stream right now. Yeah, so if you've got any newer curlers or anyone in the chat, feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer it, or of course there's plenty of people in the chat that I'm sure are pretty knowledgeable as well. But for anyone who's been curling for a long time, that is excited to see more accessible streams for curling, yeah, feel free to comment in the chat. But back to the game here. Looks like we're making a play here at the back red one. Just kind of a just through weight. Got a bit to curling to do. Should make contact. We'll see where it ends up. Yep. Good contact. Yeah, that'll be a solid deuce there on the board. So we'll take a little break and then we'll join back up here for the third end. John Epping up 2-0 over Gauthier. And we are back. Going to the third end here. Epping up 2-0 over Gauthier. Gauthier looking to get the deuce back here. So, everyone, we are streaming here on YouTube, Facebook, for where you're watching it from. So feel free to share this info to your friends. Always good to kind of share these, what I think are great curling resources, right? Because I think I talked about it last time, where it's tough to find curling to watch live. So this is pretty neat. So please spread the word. Looks to be pretty standard setup here. We've got, just biting forefoot, center guard, corner guard. To go ahead and go in and just ticks the guard. Rolls over towards the corner. And they'll have the option to, I guess, bury another one in there, or maybe stagger their center guards here and really kind of shut off that side, so they can't really hide behind the corners unless they swing it wide on the intern side. Megan asks, do you get to pick which sheet to comment on, or is it chosen for you? This is only my first day doing this, but I think they choose for me. I'm sure I can request it if I have any preferences. But I think it's but I think they do. I'm sure they do a good job of kind of spreading it around in terms of what teams get, commentary on. So, 'cause in the games, well, obviously they don't communicate very well, so we'll see. After going bringing into the rings here, guess we're looking at hit and maybe poke it through the hole and roll to a corner here. Oh, thanks, Megan. I appreciate it. It's first day doing it, and don't have Sean to work off for this draw, so doing so is a little weird, but I enjoy curling and appreciate all the interaction. Makes a hit. We got some movement on the rocks, and now it's pretty open, but at the same time a little messy. So let's see what they do here. I like this idea from John here. It looks to be he's talking about maybe chipping and rolling off the red ones into a guard, or I'm sure he's not a fan of those guards, but you always got to be worried if one of those spills in. So we'll see. the hit for Patrick. And takes a hit and rolls. Will it stick around? Ooh, see if it spins back in at the end. Nope. That's a little bit too much here. So it looks like Jacques will probably elect to ignore that top one and go behind his corner now. So, where's everybody watching this game from? I think you mentioned in the previous, I'm watching it here from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And nice double. Wow. That was a big shot. There's a lot of separation there. It's a heck of a shot. Rolls nicely to guard it. Collecting the hit and roll. I don't know if this should be able to get it to roll in, or if that's even the call here. Maybe just trying to roll to a corner and have something. Gets both and see if there's enough to get it out the side. Just barely hangs on. Shooter does roll on for a piece. John quick to say, we got to get rid of this guy. All right, see, we've got Megan from Hamilton and Nicole from Prince George. Nice. And Karen. Oh, from the Epping's hometown. Nice. The hit is made, rolls over to kind of group them together. Looking for a hit and maybe roll on top to keep it around. John looking to draw. I guess maybe top 8, top 4 here on the other side. Really put the pressure. Maybe a smidge too heavy. So we may try to take this. Oh, no. Grab? Wow. Looks like we'll see. I don't know if they're playing the double here, but just hitting kind of roll down. Pretty up weight here. Sweeper's on it to hold the line. Gotta get to the low side. Keep it on the low side. Hit roll, bang bang. Well done. Nicely made double there. Keeping chances of a blank still alive here. And we'll see if he takes this on. I imagine. Yeah. Imagine if he gets anywhere to like nose. And just draw and take the single. Having a sweep to push it down, but should be. And looks like we'll have a potential blank here. Oh, we've got Gwen from Gimli. Hello. From Gimli, Manitoba. So I'm curious about this. What percent of people from Manitoba talk? Like, would you guess? I myself am a Tucker. Tucker out of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, if you can believe that. So I always get questions about that. I'm always kind of fascinated by Tuckers. And oh, it looks like it jammed on that back one for did it stay on. It's hard to see from here, but yeah, quick to pull it off. Couldn't quite see if that blanked, but we'll take a quick break and then we'll be back here for the fourth end. And we're back. Looks like they were just able to sweep it out, so the blank was in effect. I'm kind of surprised they went after it that way, but then again, what do I know? So back on it, see if Jacques can get the deuce back here. Epping goes in the range for the first one. We'll see a corner here on the opposite side. For those of you watching the stream with audio, you guys can hear everything all right, or like or how's the sound for like the on ice sounds? I don't have the on ice sounds for me, so I'm just curious to see how it sounds on your end, and sounds good or not. Oh, thanks, Megan. Good to hear that feedback. It's early season for the curlers, so it's early season for us, doing this broadcast. Working on a few things on the audio, so appreciate any feedback you guys have. Epping with a good guard. And now electing to take advantage of the corner and come under. It's got a lot of room here, though. I don't think it's a little heavy, so I don't think they want to go. Going on just a little bit late. And that is nicely buried. Looking to come around and freeze and kind of lock off this side here. Again, from here it looks like there's a lot of room, but the stones are finishing pretty nicely. Guys are walking it down. Yep. And that is pretty good. Pretty good. Tiny bit of separation here, so looking to make a play with it. Kind of back 8, back 12 weight, maybe? Yeah, I think they have to be a little soft with the weight here. So ideally, don't want to lose that back red if it can, so we'll see. But after a few blanks in so far this game, I'm excited to see Roxon play. Always excited to see Roxon play. This one is over curling. Will they get to the inside and poke it out? Ooh. It does get to the inside. And while I think Epping was shot, it's just that makes it a little bit more definitive here. Okay, Nancy said you can hear the other sheets yelling more than the audio from this sheet in game. Yeah, I think that has to do with, where the mics are placed. I think there's something going on with this particular venue, which makes it a little bit difficult to do, but yeah. But always nice to have the, even background sounds, I think, for curling. I've watched my share of, phone streams where you're really not getting any sound, or just like the war room sound. And I have to say I prefer this. Epping looking to go around the centers now, and just looks to be a shade deep, but effective nonetheless here. So John sitting now 2. Jacques is going to have to do something about these centers here. So looking to eye up this kind of ripping the center and kind of rolling into that corner area, just opening it up a little bit. Looks to be maybe a hair thin. Yep. Just rolls over the top of everything. Did do job number 1 though, which is kind of opening up the center, forcing Epping to put it back up here. Perhaps looking for a little bit more separation, so you may see a little bit of a higher guard. And then they'll have to decide if they just want to come around and really tighten the scoring zone. So from the people that are from in the chat that are up north, have you guys started curling yet? Like leagues and whatnot. We start our so in Oklahoma we're doing a learn to curl class tomorrow that I'll get to teach at, and then we'll start league the following week. So wasn't sure, yeah. If you guys will let me know when your season starts. I'll be kind of curious. So, what the guard made, it's a pretty long guard here, and decisions are going to have to be made. So looking at this, hitting off the wing and kind of rolling in. Not sure, yeah. I mean, you could always just come to the back one, but there's definitely space for a couple rocks. So they freeze. John freezes on top of that, which isn't great. So they're thinking about possibly just going, maybe just T-line, so not down 2 it all the way. T-line or top 4, or just rolling. Yeah, it's interesting to see this from perspective, because you know, if I'm at a spiel, right, for my team, like I'm thinking I'm just going, you know, top 4 or down to that rock here, but you know, it's, I guess at this level of play, you go top 4, then it's got a pretty easy run. So definitely cool to see it from this perspective, for me, at least. So it looks like they've settled on this hit and roll here. Although I'm not sure. Yeah, we're going just cleanly off the yellow. And not the top red. Oh, I was way off. Okay. Just the draw. I think the broom further up in the house threw me off here. Weight's pretty close. Getting very close to the top yellow. May have rubbed just slightly, so he did what I would have done. So Gauthier sitting second here. Got a figure. John's gonna make a play at this of some sort. Looking at a couple options here. Looks to be either swing it on the out turn or counterclockwise side and bring it in underneath all that kind of that top stagger, or you can hit it from the other side and roll towards the corner. Either of them, fine options. Rest of the team down there talking it out. This is where I wish we could have players mic'd up, but you know, we understand that's probably prohibitive to do. Kind of hear what they're talking about. And this is also interesting for me to see, because I think of, my time at Spiels where, even if I'm talking through a shot, it's very rarely I get any of the front end down there to it. I might, of course, I'll mention it to them as we're about to throw the shot, but to come down and talk about it, it's interesting. Oh, for context, I should say, I guess I do skip normally at Spiels. Although next week I'll be playing second, which I haven't played in like 7 years, so that'll be fun. Sweeping at altitude. Oof. Yeah, Megan. I mean, I think the equipment's pretty pricey, and then you have to coordinate getting the equipment to the players, and then I think there's also just small stuff to go with it, like maintenance, making sure that they're charged, for draws and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that'd be a nice to have thing eventually, but I mean, I can definitely see us being part of this. Curling Zone broadcast continues to expand and provide additional coverage, but for sure it'd be nice. So, John, electing to take the out-turn draw here. See if they can sink one in. It's got a bit of room to go here, but now I think they're electing to just take it deep and just miss the backline. They ended up just nicking the corner and sitting down there. So definitely room for Jacques to tap it and roll on top. Trying to figure out where exactly they need to get to make sure they really lock that one in there. Pretty delicate shot coming here, but. Apologies there. My dogs got very excited once I was dropping off a package. Very excited. Sweepers on this pretty hard to make sure they're around the top 8 stones, and they just tick. So John looking at a good place to put his rock, and it looks like they're looking to go just top 4 on that side and really tighten up the scoring zone. Yeah, if John sinks another one in here, which I imagine would be very close, if just dead on, we'll be sitting first, second, and third with no easy triple. Yeah, Karen, I noticed that too. Let's see if we can get that kind of figured out. Yeah, because that, like, the throwing perspective is a little bit off from what their sweepers are. Speaking of the sweepers, working to bring this one in. This thing coming in nicely. Is this a little bit higher? Yeah, it's a little bit higher than I wanted, I think, but a decent result. Just the same here. So leaves him a little bit more room, but definitely destroying the full 4. For top 4. Sweeper's on it pretty early. Looks like a lot of this line has been curling pretty hard, but now this one looks to be pretty out there. Having to switch sweepers to get it to curl a little bit. Weight's really good. Comes in and just gets there for maybe a second. Yeah. I think take a little bit more ice, maybe kind of seeing what they did previously, maybe got them just a little bit here. Gonna be tough to remove that red rock, but I don't think that's the call here, so just draw the top 4 perhaps. This one's hanging out there a little bit as well. Sweeper's gonna try to push it in. Ooh. They end up tapping up. Last rock. I'm not sure if it's. Sure what they're eyeing up here. Is this just a cold draw, or they're not doing this in off, are they? At least for a bundle, but still, this has got to be a draw. Guess we'll see with this kick here. Looks to be coming in nicely for this draw. Sweeper's working it. See if he can get to. Gets in and touches the lid. Not sure if we're gonna have a measure for second. Let me put a stick to this one here. Looks like we'll take a little break here while they do the measure, and we'll be back for the fifth end here. Or I don't know actually where we're going. Maybe we'll hang on just a little bit. Surprised they didn't take the I thought there was a little maybe tap on the out turn side, but they didn't look at it, so we have not been there. Here comes out the measuring device. Oh, maybe this will be something we can ask for later. One of those cool kind of telestrators to kind of measure to see which one's closer and guess. I think it's actually red from this camera angle, but tough to tell. Doing a good job of not blocking the stick by their head, but I can't see, so. Kicking it towards the middle, so it looks like red. So it looks like maybe I was right. So looks like Gauthier gets his deuce back, so we'll be tied 2-2 after the fourth, and we'll be back after this break. And we're back.
The other one I was softer. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't soft, but it wasn't. No, this one was soft. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
All tied up here after 4. Yeah, going into the 5th end here. Couple blanks, couple deuces by both teams. Gauthier setting up the center. Giant electing to go ahead and come on in. You see the second offering looks to be a bit wide and heavy. Ends up settling back 12. So one thing I have heard from curling is that the 5th end, rocks tend to glide a little bit more than earlier, something to do with the break. Does anyone know the reason behind that? Like, is it just like somehow the ice gets faster, or what is it? I'm curious to talk. I've heard it on some other broadcasts, but I never knew why and just kind of accepted that fact. So if anyone knows, I'd be curious to hear if anyone has any thoughts behind it.
The other one, no, it was running.
Jason here to get to the inside here and roll on top. Looks to be it made. Still poking out there a little bit here, so John will probably have Patrick play here.
Good afternoon, Mark.
Hey, is this Jason?
That's me. Thanks for having me join midway through the call.
Yeah, it was tough working solo, so I'm glad to be joined here. So,
well, for those of you who enjoyed Stone Stadium Martinsville last weekend and tuned in, I'm glad to be back for a couple of draws here in Stone Stadium, the Alberta Series, Leduc.
So, Jason, I was asking the chat earlier about Stones in the 5th end having a tendency to just run a little bit deeper than they thought, and me as kind of a somewhat newish curler, what the reason was for that. Like, I've just heard it on broadcast, and people make references to it, especially when shots go long in the 5th. But do you know any of the reason behind that?
Yeah, Mark, and it depends on what the ice makers do in between ends. At the championship level, at national championships like the U.S. Nationals, the Brier and the Scotties, as well as World Championship level play, typically during the mid-game break, so typically the 5th end break, the ice makers will come out and maybe do a little bit of pebble right near the hacks to resurface that because all the slides are going through it. But the second thing they do is typically do a quick sweep or mop of the ice. And that mopping of the ice seems to quicken up the ice in the next end. So in a 10-end game, that's the 6th end, you often see the leads slip their guards into the rings or their draws into the back of the house or even through the house, and that's the reason. And I think it just takes experience playing in those conditions, because normally in a bond steel you wouldn't have that break and you wouldn't have that mop. So once you get into a competition that has that break and there's the mop, oftentimes the leads aren't adjusting properly. That will come with experience, how much that might change. Obviously, every arena or every tournament might be a little bit different how the speed changes. They can always expect it to be a little bit faster in that sixth end after break if a mop was done. And so as a team, you also want to pay attention, right? If there is a break, is the ice crew mopping? If they didn't mop, then it wouldn't speed up. It might even slow down a little bit because with the 5 minutes or whatever long break is, the ice has a chance to settle. It might pick up a little bit of frost on the surface. The ice tends to cool down, and that can slow down the ice as well. So as a team, if you have a fifth end break, you want to look at the ice a little bit and see what the ice makers have done, if anything at all.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have thought about that. Yeah, coming as an arena curler, we're lucky if we get to run the rocks, before our draw. I don't have, championship level experience. So good to know that. Yeah, and Paul, I can see what you said there. Ice gets faster if the team mops the shit. Interesting. Well, getting back
Mark,
to our
yeah, I was going to ask you. I didn't see the first 4 ends, but it looks like it's a close game. 2-2 tie. John Epping against Jacques Gauthier.
Yeah, it's been pretty good game. Yeah, so far. There were some near misses with some with some blanks, but overall, the level of play you would expect from teams of these calibers. So pretty good game. Last time was pretty interesting with a lot of rocks in play, and here it's a little bit more open, but still got a few rocks in play, and there's Ryan, lonely guard trying to take on a lot of responsibility there.
Well, it wasn't so long ago that we called John Epping kind of the up-and-coming star, but it's been a decade or more since he's been on the scene. Of course, he's had a lot of success. He's got a new lineup this year. He's got Ryan Fry, former Olympic champion with Brad Jacobs. Jonathan Buke, I believe. And at lead, who's he got at lead this year? I should know this because he was playing in Martinsville last week, and I covered a couple of his games. Sorry, it's Pat Jansen. Sorry, my mistake.
Okay.
I got this completely wrong. Matt Tam at third. He's promoted as second to third.
Yeah.
Ryan Fry was playing with him last year. Ryan Fry's no longer playing with him. Ryan Fry's gone over to Mike McEwen. Pat Jansen at second, and Scott Chadwick at lead. So I got those two lineups a little bit mixed up there. But they've been out on the ice a couple times this year already. I believe they played in the first Alberta series, if I'm not mistaken, and of course last week in Martinsville as well. So they've been on the ice. I haven't seen Jacques Gauthier's team on the ice, so it may be one of their earlier tournaments. So I'd expect maybe Team Epping to be a little bit more in form.
Yeah, you would think that, but I guess you're. Who knows? It's early on in the season. I think let me ask you this: for last week's broadcast, did you see many players just flat out falling or slipping on the ice? Because I've already seen 2 today in the draws that I've covered.
No falling or skipping, but we did cover a Chelsea Carey game. And during that game, later in the match, in the sixth end, Chelsea Carey started stretching out her quads or her calves or her thighs. So maybe a little bit of a pulled muscle. And that might mean just early season, haven't warmed up your muscles yet, or maybe just taking a little bit too relaxed and not doing your...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, still gotta warm up and do get your routine in for the season. That's a team that I'll be very curious to see, and especially to see kind of the role that Sinclair takes on with that team.
Yeah, they're calling her a super spare on that team, and I think they're calling her that because there's some confusion or differences in rules in terms of eligibility to play in Canada versus what the World Curling Federation requires. The World Curling Federation rules are a little bit more relaxed. The Canadian rules are a little bit more tight. So They're calling for a sweeper spare for now. I don't know if there's a hope that she gets the clearance to play in the Scotties, perhaps, if for the playdown with Presbyterians. Obviously, she'll play the playdowns, but if she makes it to the Scotties, whether Jamie Sinclair might play. But it's very exciting for Canadians to see Jamie Sinclair back playing in Canada. Obviously, she played out of Ontario, was a very successful young curler and junior curler. I believe she played with Rachel Homan as well, so back in the junior days. So very excited to see her back. Obviously, she had a lot of success playing in the U.S. Maybe didn't quite make it to where she wanted to, which is the Olympic Games, but certainly did very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, I understand you're from Oklahoma?
I am, yeah, Oklahoma City.
And how's the curling club doing there?
It exists, so like many clubs in the southern part of the United States, we're arena club, and defining arena is not a big arena where you would have championships in, but arena where it's shared usage between say hockey and figure skating, ice skating, and whatnot.
Well, Team Epping, they have the hammer here in the fifth end, right? And this is John Epping trying to play a freeze, I think, onto that red stone.
Freeze tap. Looks like it's overcurling just a hair. We've got mid-season broom slam. Seen a few of those from this week already, so while the teams may not be properly stretched out, the broom slams are in form.
Yeah, John looked like he was a little bit light and never maybe overcurled a little bit as well. If he had the weight, he probably would have been close on the line.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he got completely buried, and I don't know how much curl is in the ice right now. I've only seen a few shots, but if it curls a lot, he could probably still get to the yellow and move the red out on a raised tap. But if it doesn't curl enough, then he's taking that shot away, right? So
yeah.
That was a big mistake. Yellow's, of course, still shot stone right now, but Jacques Gauthier has an opportunity to really either close down the scoring area. They've got second shot just biting the button, so if they put a rock in kind of the top eight, blocking that button area, it'd be pretty tough for John to score his two. I think they're also thinking about just picking the yellow stone out and then sitting shot rock that red stone, which is pretty well protected behind the guard, as well as the John Epping stone that's in the top eight.
Yeah, a couple of choices here. I think at first they were looking at maybe just even going, top four, just right down to the lid, because Jacques just basically made that shot on his first. I think his overcurled just a touch, so they should be pretty close to making an adjustment. A few different options here. I guess this is kind of a matter of what you want to leave John for his last.
I think some sort of a guard that guards the path is pretty good right now. I mean, you almost got the force if you put up a good rock. There would be no way. If you put this guard perfect in a perfect spot, John probably doesn't have enough real estate to draw to. It's a little bit risky to try to play the freeze again or try to draw into the top of the button, because if you leave it in a bad spot, you might leave a double for John, and then John would score two that way. And in a 2-2 tie, a force is really good, especially in an odd end, right? You get hammer back in the even ends. You might be down by one, but you've got hammer twice, and you are, I think, the slight favorite to win the game in that situation. So I think Jacques knows that information. That's why he's giving consideration to just forcing John to play that point.
So it looks like that's guard ice. So what kind of depth are we looking for here, Jason?
It really depends. I think obviously as tight as you can get to the house, I think the better. So, but the line is very important as well, right? The higher it is, the more room John will have to curl around. So tight, maybe kind of along the 4-foot line.
Okay.
And that will make John have to go really wide, and he'll see if he can actually catch a piece of the button if he goes wider than the guard.
Sweeper's on this early.
They are on it quite early. It looks a little bit on the tight side and the light side.
Tight and light here, which that's not going to cut it here. So John's going to have some room here. Not an easy shot by any means, but he's definitely got Got some room here.
Yeah, I mean, that guard there is not really guarding the button. You should be by that guard fairly comfortably to actually hit the button. If you're anywhere close to that guard, you're probably you're risking crashing on those stones in the top of the rings anyway. So
yeah,
and get a good chance to see how much ice they're taking. So there's about 4 feet of curl towards the button. I expect him to be close. It's not that different of a shot than his first rock, and he knew what he did wrong in the first one. Final stone, John Epping, fifth end. Needs a good piece of the button for 2 points.
To curl up here.
I think it will curl. I think it's the distance now. Do the sweepers get it there? Not quite. They needed to have more Wheaties in the morning. So it is 1 point for Team Epping. They do take the lead, but it is 3-2.
And we're back.
We have 3-2 scoreline right now. Team Epping's had a chance for 2. Draw to the button. Came up a little bit short. Sweepers went all the way, so it's a 3-2 score going to 6th end. Team Gauthier has the last stone advantage here. Of course, Jacques Gauthier, Canadian World Junior Champion. He's got most of his lineup from, I believe, that championship still in Middleton at third, Jason Ginter at second, and Alex Horvath at the lead position. Definitely one of the future stars in Canadian men's curling, and there's a lot of young curlers coming out of the junior ranks in the recent years who I think will be the future. Tanner Horgan, you've got Tyler Tardy, and on the women's side, Mackenzie Zacharias, of course. So I think the future of Canadian curling is pretty bright once the old guard decides to retire. Glenn Howard.
Well, you never know with the older guys. Like I'm wanting to see more of I want to see more of Wayne get out there. His run at the Briar was something to watch.
I think we were all excited to see Wayne back playing at that type of level because I don't think we ever thought that was happening again after some of his injury problems. But I've always been a big Glenn Howard fan myself, so I don't want him to retire because he's one of my favorite curlers. I've been watching the Howard brothers since the early 90s, actually. And so I remember them winning their second Briar together, I guess, in 1993. That was probably one of my first Briars I watched from start to finish. I know the first Briar I watched may have been 1991 or 1992, but not as clear memories of that one. But 1993, I have a very distinct memory of watching the Ontario team, and I really just loved how they curled. And I lived in Alberta back then, so it was unusual for me to be cheering for an Ontario team or Albertan to be cheering for an Ontario team when Alberta is obviously a very much a curling powerhouse. But something about Team Howard and Russ and Glenn and the rest of that team, Midaw, Peter Corner, just caught my attention. So
yeah, I'll have to go back and probably watch them at some point because I myself I'm one of the newer curlers that joined after a couple cycles ago. So I think my watching Madalas runs was really kind of my first watching of him, and hearing the legends about him and whatnot. So, but yeah, I also have to go back and check out the Howard Martin games and whatnot. So
That was a really well thrown shot and executed. That split, obviously the center guard making it tough to access the middle. You put up the corner guard because you're trying to score multiples in this even end down by 1. Now you make that tick, roll over for a second corner guard, and now you've got something set up for 2 or 3 perhaps, if you can make use of those corners. So really, really smart call from Team Gauthier, and a really well executed tick shot there. And of course, that was allowed because the no-tick rule isn't in effect here. That rocket on the center line at the last Women's and Men's World Championships, you wouldn't have been able to tick that off the center line. Mark, I happen to be in Lausanne, Switzerland right now, joining you on the call. I'm here for the World Curling Federation Annual Congress, and there is a motion in place to trial no-tick at all of the World Championships this season, other than wheelchair and mixed doubles. So last year they trialed it at the men's and women's worlds only, but this year they're planning to put it at all the World Championships, which I assume includes also the World Mix, the World Seniors, the World Juniors. My sense is that motion will probably pass. So that might be coming down the pipeline for all those disciplines. Again, another year of trial, but they're trying to collect more data on whether the no-tick makes sense in championship play to create more excitement in the game.
Sure.
And better TV broadcasts. Really nice double there from the Gauthier team.
Very nice. Yeah, we wonder if I think it makes sense to try these no-tick rules early on in the quad here and kind of get it everything kind of worked out before the next set of trials and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after that great double, Team Epping tried to hit that rock that was kind of in the top 12, I think.
Yeah.
Or just outside the guard and roll over probably to the center guard. Overroll just a little bit, and I think this team gives Jacques the opportunity to just go around their corner guards. I think they can just now ignore those Epping stones. That off-center guard isn't particularly dangerous. It doesn't block the path to the button from the intern side or the clockwise side. That other stone that's in the house for Epping is only in the top 12, so you're never worried about not being able to outcount that one. You can just go around your corner, be in the 8-foot, buried, and be shot stone.
It looks like it's coming in pretty nicely here.
Yeah, they're using, of course, the outside sweeper to try to keep it, or to try to promote some curl, and very nice shot.
Now with that behind tee, do you go ahead and rip it? Do you go behind your yellow guards? No?
Yeah, I guess there is an option to come down and freeze on it. And if you can freeze on the corner, you'd be in great shape. You'd be shot stone. But I think with a 1-point lead and the fact that the freeze is the more aggressive call, if you don't make that freeze, Team Gauthier goes around the corner guard again, too buried. You're in a lot of trouble. So, I mean, ripping the guard is never wrong in this situation. If you ever roll to the center line, pretty nice roll. Now you can make use of that center guard. You will actually now force Jacques to go around the center, which is what you want to do when you don't have a hammer, right? You want to put the play towards the center of the rings. That helps you close down the scoring area, makes it harder for the hammer team to score. That's what happened in the last one, right? The center area was a little bit more congested. After Jacques got that shot in, even though it wasn't shot rock, it closed up the center and made it hard for Team Epping to score that second point. Positioning is pretty important here. They probably want this rock in the 8-foot. If they come all the way to the top of the button or the top of the 4-foot, Team Epping will draw down to it, freeze on top, sit second shot, that can't be removed, and you've lost out on the ability to count that other 8-foot rock that was behind the corner, now is fully exposed. But you want to try to count that rock, or make John Epping maybe need to play on that 8-foot rock that's open.
So
Looks like it
to
might be
be
sliding a
touch
hair
heavy.
deep. Yeah, it's not much heavy, but it's about half a foot heavy. They might actually be able to make the double because it is a little bit exposed. So if they were completely buried, John would probably go down and freeze on it. Since you can see it, they'll probably play the double. We were just talking about the rule changes and the ticks, and it's not only that you want to have any new rules in place early in the quad. You actually, from a Olympic perspective, you have to be playing with the rules that will be used at the Olympic Games during your qualification process for the Olympics. What that means is, to qualify for the Olympic Games, the 2 years prior World Championships are used to determine the teams that get in to the to get into the Olympics. So those 2 World Championships have to use the new rules, or the rules that will be used at the Olympic Games. So if they are to introduce this no tick, it has to be official by that point in time. 2 World Championships before the Olympics. And that would be the same if there was an 8N versus 10N discussion. It has to get ratified before that point in time. And of course, that debate is still up in the air, and I know the WCF is looking at that, trying to collect more data on it.
It looks like they made the double and just kind of rolled over. This is a little, perhaps just a bit tight. So we'll see.
It's actually an okay roll. You almost got to a corner freeze. Jacques could hit it and roll away from the middle, but if you roll away from the middle, John then goes behind that kind of staggered center guard and can take the whole end away. So I think Jacques got a good idea here, is to just go in behind the guard. You don't even need to be shot rock here, because you can hit that Epping stone later on. It's not frozen, so it's not completely safe. So you can leave it open now and go around. You can also hit this and roll outside. If you can roll it behind the guard, I would suspect John Epping hits the open one and tries to roll it to the back of the 4. So that roll to the back 4 is not easy to stop in the right spot. So both calls are good. But if you roll out, you might see John Epping just go around the center and ignore that red stone. It's a little bit less risk to take the draw if you're only facing one. And there's a lot of space to draw behind that center guard.
Looks like they just got to nose here, so John with a pretty standard hit, here.
Yeah, the double is definitely there. The good news for Team Gauthier is I don't think there's a double and roll behind the center.
Yeah.
So they probably just want to make the double and stick around here.
Stick around and force.
Yeah, and then Jacques will try to play the hidden roll probably. Or because if you hit and stick here, you're only in the 8-foot. Maybe even touching the 12-foot, which is biting the 8-foot, depending on whether you roll a little outside or not. So Jacques might say, well, that's not too close to the middle. I can just go around the corner guard for 8-foot or bite the top 4 and just sit shot rock. That would be the better way to score your 2, actually, is for Jacques to just ignore the yellow stone. And that one rolls outside. So I would be shocked if Jacques didn't go around the guard now. I think they're discussing where to put it. There looks like there's 4 feet of curl. So the problem with going top 8 or too high is John might be able to draw around everything, including your guard, sit maybe in the back of the button or the back of the 4 and be shot stone, unremovable, and then you're forced to a single. The problem with coming too tight or too close to the button is John just freezes on top, and now you've got no room to get your second one in. So positioning is pretty important. I think you want to be full 8, but maybe close to touching the button or touching the 4-foot, maybe even touching the 4-foot, but at least full 8. If you're any higher than that, even full 8, John might decide he's got no other shot but to come around everything. So I think touching the 4-foot would be a great spot here.
looks to be coming in nicely. I was worried about line, but line appears to be getting a touch better here.
The sweepers look fairly happy with it based on how they're sweeping. It looks like it's going to get fully buried. John's not going to be able to play a hit on this, I don't think. And they get it fully, almost fully in the floor. That's a good spot.
That's a good spot, yeah.
The only way John can get out of this end, forcing Team Gauthier, is to play this run back now.
Yeah.
If they freeze, Jacques just goes a hair wider and draws to the same spot, right? So John's always liked these types of shots, the run backs, the doubles. He's always been a very good hitter. I know earlier in his career he may have been accused of being too aggressive, trying hits that were so difficult. He made a lot of them, but in some cases maybe he could have played a little bit more finesse. But he's always been a good hitter and liked hitting. I think he's developed his finesse game a lot more over the years.
Here.
Run it back, catches the red and sticks it behind the guard.
What a shot by John there. You know,
Yeah,
I was just about to ask if it would have been easier to run the one off the corner 12, but because it looked pretty tight here with that almost, you know, staggered guards there, but a heck of a shot there.
Played it perfectly, and now you've got the force, and it's force with a little bit of pressure. John's rock is almost touching the 4-foot, so Jacques, he's got to play the same shot, basically. The good news is it's basically the same shot. It's a little bit further out. He has to take probably 6 or 8 inches more ice. But I would expect that at this juncture in the game, the speed shouldn't be that different from the one he just threw. Final stone 6 then, down by 1. Jacques Gauthier needs to draw to the 4-foot for the single point to tie up the game. Sweepers do pick it up pretty early, but they don't look super concerned. They're sweeping it all the way down, but they didn't look super concerned. I don't know. Now they're out now.
Here. Just to get a piece.
Yeah, great
tap
sweep.
on the butt, gets them their single.
More than enough. 3-3 tie after 6 ends. Welcome back to Curling Stadium, Leduc Alberta Series. Jacques Gauthier, John Epping in a really tight battle, 3-3 after 6 ends of play. If you're just joining us, my name is Jason Chang. Helping us bring the action from the ice to your device, Mark from Oklahoma City with us as well. Mark, really tight game so far. And pretty well played. Some really nice shots in the last couple of ends.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, with it being the 7th end here, are we going to see a really, really hard effort to keep things open and blank this here? And
Certainly, Team Epping is going to try to keep this open and blanket. For Team Gauthier, they don't like a blank. You're in a big underdog position with the blank. You joined us for Martinsville and as well as the Alberta Series, Mr. Probability, Matt Paul, would tell you Hammer team in the men's side at this level probably have an 80, 85, maybe even a 90% chance of winning, depending on the team going into the last end tied with Hammer. So Team Gauthier, they're going to go all out to try to force John Epping to a single point or steal this end. They're going to probably put up 2 guards here to do that. Now this guard, they wanted it a little bit more stacked up with the other, because with the stagger and how close the 2 rocks are, John Epping will get a chance to peel those. Not on the next rock, it's still 3 guard zone, but on the rock after, and I would expect Team Epping to go up and play the peel.
Were you surprised we didn't see a tick here on the earlier rocks, or?
Yeah, I mean, Team Epping could have played a tick on the first one. That's a legitimate strategy, to try to blank the end out. But Team Epping was also thinking, we can also get a really easy 2 out of this, because Team Gauthier might be trying really hard to score and leave some of Epping's rocks in play, and that sometimes can lead to a really easy 2, sometimes even a pretty easy 3, just because of the aggressiveness that Team Gauthier is forced to play in this situation. They don't want a blank. That's probably the worst situation for them. They're probably even better off giving up 2 than blanking this end. There's 24 teams here in Leduc. It's a big tournament. It's a triple knockout format, right, Mark? Taking 8 teams into the quarterfinals. And the great thing about Curling Stadium is you can watch every single sheet, every single game of every single draw, and you can put multiple streams up on your computer, your TV screen. You can have 3 phones open if you've got 3 of them.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I remember when I, first got into curling a few years ago, it was a challenge just to find, streaming online, and it was just usually reserved for major championships, and so being able to, wake up on a Saturday and having watched multiple games and being able to switch back and forth, if one game ends early, it's been great as a curling fan.
Of course, there's a lot of other games being streamed right now. And there is one final. I saw Yannick Schwaller, who won in Martinsville last week, having a quick victory over Carsten Sturmey from Alberta. Carsten Sturmey, another one of those young teams. Difficult for him to break out of Alberta over the years with Kevin Curry and Brendan Botcher. Still have to face those teams, but they're definitely on the up and rise in Alberta. A really good young team. Yannick Schwaller, of course, now taking over that skip position that Peter de Cruz vacated. Benoit Schwartz still throwing that last stone. They played excellent last week in Martinsville. They seem to be in top form. I find the Europeans are often in top form because I think the European season starts just a little bit earlier than North American season.
Yeah, the Schwaller team looked good. I was watching them in one of the earlier draws here, and man, they were on it.
And the other team in the Martinsville final, also on the ice, Riku Yanagisawa, playing against one of those young teams that we talked about in Canada. Tanner Corgan, Yanagisawa up 3-2. I was really impressed with Riku's calmness throwing the last stones last week. He was clutch in many circumstances. Marco Husley's here from Switzerland as well, playing against Aaron. 1 lead from Marco. Marco, also a young team out of Switzerland now. Switzerland develops all these great teams, women's and men's side. I think Marco won a World Junior medal not too long ago.
Ooh, makes the run back here. A little unlucky they didn't get both. Perhaps a bit unlucky with where the shooter ended up here. So still a lot of work to be done in this end.
Yeah, if Team Epping wants to blank, there's a lot of work. So for Team Gauthier, they just have to try to keep one of their rocks buried or have two in the house that can't be doubled off. And they've got one buried right now, mostly buried. I think no matter where they put the next stone, there probably won't be a double, but I think they'd like to probably roll a little bit behind. I guess you'd have to play the run double if they get the roll behind.
Yeah,
which they might try.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that would be the question here, right? If you're making the shot, like, do you want to roll buried or do you want to roll like way open and definitely leave no doubles?
Yeah, you can definitely roll wide, and then the question is what John might do. He might decide, okay, I got to switch gears and try to just get my two this way because the blank doesn't look great, or he can still peel the guard. If you roll wide, kind of to the left-hand side of the rings, as you see it from the screen, John might peel the yellow guard into the one that you rolled. And then he opens up the center that way and gets rid of your own your rocks. So even the roll wide isn't a perfect scenario. And that's probably why Gauthier actually didn't play the hit and just try to freeze on that rock, because then it'd be much harder for Team Epping to remove the red stone, right?
Yeah.
They kind of have almost two rocks, red stones buried. One is actually buried behind the corner, and then the other one is buried because it's frozen, right? It's hard to remove. Certainly no run double if you do that, or very, very, very difficult. So that was a very smart play. Again, they're playing very aggressive to try to get the force here. If it was an earlier end, they definitely would have played the hit and roll. No question.
Now we will see John kind of freeze on the corner there and try to lock one in there.
Yeah, I think so. Now John's thinking about, okay, how do I get two out of this situation? Or maybe even three. There's definitely a chance for three. You lock on a corner. Now that yellow can't go anywhere. Now what does Jacques do? I don't know if you're following the games that the American boys have. Two young American teams, also up-and-coming stars. Corey Dropkin playing against Ryan Weeb from Manitoba. Ryan Weeb's up 7-6, I think, playing the 7th bend. Corey, of course, I think the consensus is he's the next big thing in USA men's curling. Scott Dunham trailing Reek Brothers 6-4. That's a new look Reek Brothers team as well. Parting ways with Mike McEwen. He's got Jason Gudlickson, Derek Semagalski, Connor Nedevin now.
Yeah, we've got some. It's nice to see some of these American teams out playing at these events. Normally that's, I think when I first started getting into curling, it's just generally reserved for the top teams. What it seems like we're sending, and when I say top teams, usually just one team. But now seeing multiple representatives at these international events is good to see. So good to see Americans there, but also seeing Pacific Asia teams as well traveling there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an okay freeze from John Epping, but the next shot from Team Gauthier is not what they were looking for, and even worse is they rolled the guard to cover the Epping stones, I think. Well, they crashed on the guard. That's not what they were looking for. They were looking to come into the rings. And now John is definitely thinking, how do I get three out of this situation? He's got shot stone. He's got third shot stone. He sees what the danger is that red run-in. Won't make the double if Team Gauthier plays the red run-in, but you'll get one off, and then Gauthier will be shot stone. So this hidden roll is actually a very good call. You might even pick off that other red stone. You might even get the double. I don't know if you'll get the perfect roll if you make the double, but it's close.
Yeah. Or even just to move it away from the forefoot. Maybe.
Yeah, if you can move it away and just roll behind the corner, now you've got three rocks buried. You're almost, asking Jacques, here, go up and try to run that guard in. It'll be a tough situation if they get either the roll or that double.
Hard on the sweep here to
get it by.
Sure
they're well by. Now they try to
get the roll.
Get it across. Got a little roll.
Okay.
That's enough. They're not guarding the red stone. It's only a
You can
He's
see
guarding
most
the
of
red
the
stone.
red.
Yeah, so you can definitely hit the red out. This is a very scary situation all of a sudden for Team Gauthier.
Now, do we see Gauthier perhaps switching to the other side, play the intern and freeze and maybe set up something on that side?
Yeah, they're definitely looking at their options. It's a very tough situation here. You can try to sit on top of the red one. If you can get to nose, it's okay. That might be a setup shot for another shot, but anything on the left side, nothing looks great. You freeze on top. That top Yellowstone, your top 4, doesn't look like it'll ever go anywhere because it's going to catch on your redstone. So
yeah,
and right now that redstone's not helping you. That's why they're thinking about, can you tap the redstone back a little bit, sit in a slightly better spot, a little bit higher in the ring, so that maybe you can use it as a setup shot.
Is it too late to rip the guard here, or try some sort of run?
You can play the run, but there's not a lot of good outcomes with the
Yeah.
run, right? Because if you run it onto the top 12 rock, you risk running it into the red one. It's not a good angle to run run red, yellow, yellow, yellow. The angle's not great to get more than 1 out. You'll be lucky to get 2 out. Getting 1 out, yes, possible, but you can also straight jam it onto the red in the house and not get anything out of the shot.
So it looks like they're just trying to come down and maybe tap it a little bit to get to the inside.
Yeah, I think if they can tap it a little bit, try to get the redstone that's in the house right now, maybe to the back 4, but sitting second shot. Right now, their third shot, right? If they can push it a little bit more into the 4-foot, almost straight back. If they can get even a hair inside, I think that might be even better. But just try to move it a couple inches, sit second shot, and then you leave your shooter maybe in a better spot to tap up a little bit later.
Hanging out there's no way, but
yeah, but when I say a little bit later, you don't have that many rocks left, right? So it's like 1 rock left. So it's really hanging out there. And if he doesn't touch it at all, this is big trouble because...
Oh, no. Was that weight, Jason, do you think that was just way too much weight? Because they just needed to be like, back 4, back 8, right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, Mark. I think you're absolutely right because they were looking for kind of back 4, back 8. Probably the best call would have been play kind of T-line weight and just let your sweepers sweep it to the back 4 weight, right? So that was pretty much through the rings on its own. So definitely probably had good line. Just wait, and now I think Team Epping thinking the best thing to do here is just to peel out the redstone, sit 3. There's no triple there that I can see.
Yeah.
So even if Jacques somehow makes a difficult double, you've got the draw for 2. Or Jacques takes more risk and tries to maybe get
back button.
back button as buried as he can. I think you want the shooter to roll right out here. You don't want him to get on the side of the 8 and give him a roll towards the middle.
Now we'll see. Are they looking at this run? Oof. I don't know if I'll...
The straight up double isn't easy because you can't see all of that yellow, I don't think. You can see most of it, so probably is there actually. I'm looking at it again, and I think it does look there. They were looking at the run, but I don't think you can make a run triple there, and the run double's not that easy either, so... They're now looking at that draw that we talked about, Mark. Try to get to the back of the button. Try to get as buried as you can.
Yeah, back button over buried. Ooh. This is not a fun shot to have to play here.
They still have to be a little bit careful because if you're right on the button, I think John can still see a piece of that Yellowstone that's on the top of the button. And you can probably slash it into your rock. So you almost want to be top of the button. You don't even want to be on the back of the button. I think you're on the back of the button. John's maybe got a shot got the shot for 3. If you're on the top of the button, I think actually it's a tougher shot for John.
And now with him being heavy on this last one, do you think he's able to make how easy it is to make this adjustment?
Yeah, well, with someone of Jacques' caliber, I'd expect him to be able to make the adjustment. You don't become a junior world junior champion that easily. the Canadian junior level and the world junior level is very, very high these days. That's why these guys can come out of juniors and maybe doesn't have quite the experience, but still play competitively. Now they're on again, trying to get the finish. They get to the back side of the button. Who shot stone mark?
I think it's still John here.
Yeah, it might be John, but like I said, you don't actually want to be on the back of this button because now this yellow slash is there, and it's going to be for 3 for sure if you make it. I think it is yellow. I think you're right. That close-up. Thanks very much, Curling Stadium crew.
And this would be, and Jason, you think this is the easier shot instead of just following Gauthier down and just tapping that?
Yeah, I think so. And especially for John. He, like I said, he really loves to hit, so. Now they are really going hard here. Looks tight. They get it by the guard, but can they get by the second? Yes.
Yeah, that'll stick.
There we go.
Big 3.
Team Epping. Big sweep, big 3. They take the 3-point lead going home. Final end mark. Big 3 there for John Epping in the 7th. Actually, the rock did overcurl. I had a quick look at the replay because I thought I saw it overcurling a hair. He actually did come off of his own rock, but caught it thin enough to redirect onto his second stone. And it still made the shot. So he had a little bit of margin of error, but the sweepers saved that rock. Got the 3 points. And now he's in a very comfortable position coming home. Not impossible to see 3s and 4s pop up with the 5 rock free guard zone. Especially the first couple of years with 5 rock free guard zone. We actually saw a lot of 3s and 4s for the win. We see it a little bit less in the last season. I think the teams have gotten used to playing and defending against the 5 rock free guard zone. So the first couple of seasons, the teams are just still trying to figure out how you defend, right? How you protect that lead. But I think the teams have now gotten a bit more proficient, and you see a lot fewer 3s and 4s to win the game.
Yeah, which makes some of the people will say, well, they're getting good at this. Then do we ever go to 6 rock, and where does it stop here? So,
right, and that's the point of the no tick mark, right? Is I don't think people want to go to 6 rocks and start just eliminating hits from the game, right? You could start eliminating up to the vice stones if you really needed to, but that's why there is that discussion with the no tick. Then it would be make it a little bit. Because John there tried the tick too now. The no tick only applies to the center line, but if the game evolves and they start getting really good at the corner guard ticks, you can eliminate those as well in the future. So lots of things that you can do in the game of curling. But it is confusing for the fans, right, if rules change all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. Anyone in the chat that's what are your guys' thought on the no tick rule and if it and its place for high level? So so I see that they set up a second corner guard on the same side. Now, if you're really having to push for a 3 instead, do you think it's better to have those double corners or corners on the other side?
Yeah, that's a good question. The double corners is a very common play these days. If you can stack them up vertically, this one has a little bit of a stagger, so that is something that John likes to see. He might be able to play a double peel at some point. One of the purposes of playing the guards on the same side is if you do stack them up vertically with some good separation, there isn't a double peel and a rollout. You can make a double peel, but you're never rolling out. If you go opposite sides, you got to be really sure that the level of the two stones are quite even to prevent the double. So that's really the trick. The benefit of same side guards is you always have a draw path to the middle. Now, when you're trying to score 3 to tie the game, maybe that draw path to the middle isn't as important. You really need to bury the rocks, right? You're not getting 3 if you're not getting anything buried. So, so the double side, if you're trying to go for 2, I really do like the same side guards because you get 1 buried there, and then you always leave a draw path open to the middle for your second point, right? If you put the guards on opposite sides, you're basically cutting off a draw path.
Really good sweep on that last rock there. Really, you can see him leaning down on it just to get it working across a little bit.
Yeah, still pretty much open for Team Epping. Jackson, I believe. Yes, it is. Nice hit, nice stick. He left it in a pretty good spot because he's partially choked off the corner guards, right? By putting it there, Jacques can't just draw around his corners. He's got to draw around that Jansen stone.
Yeah, he's got to go like back 8, back 12. Well, you want to be second.
Yeah, he can probably be T-line or back 4. But even if he makes it, John can still use that yellow stone because he hasn't buried it, right? There's enough room to play a quiet raised takeout if John needs to. So that was a really well-placed shot by Pat Jansen.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you kind of have to get separation, so it makes that quiet rate shot.
Yeah, and for sure you can afford to go to the back of the 8. And the thing is, you're going to have to probably put another rock behind those guards as well. This one is over curling. Now they're trying to make it curl more. Side. Yeah, they try to make it curl more to get it fully buried at the end. Now I think John goes up and peels those guards. At least one of them. Might be a little risky to try to play the double peel because it might carry them back into the rings. They might still try it. They are up by 3, so they have a little bit of margin of error to work with on the scoreline. I expect just they're playing the single peel, and that's what Matt Cam's done. That's just the smart play, the veteran play.
Yep, no reason to 3-point lead. Just they're gonna have to put it back. So no reason to.
Yeah, with a 3-point lead, for John's team, he makes every shot right now, and mostly a lot of them will be open hits or peels. He'll win the game, right? So he doesn't really need to do anything fancy. And I think, that red shot stone is still behind the guard, but it's right now 4th shot, right? It's not anywhere close to counting at this point. Jacques will need to start making a play on those yellow stones at some point if he ever wants that red stone to come into play. He's talking about the hidden long roll. They're talking about maybe another guard, one more.
Yeah, there's not really great options, right? Because you can't really hit the one that's top 12 and roll to a great spot.
No, you'll probably set up a double, so you're never going to hit the one in the top 12. Unless you can flop on top of the guards, but the problem with that is the run back double might be there because that run back is not too long.
No.
It's only probably about 5 feet maybe, so that's a very makeable run back double. You might leave.
Yeah, you expect that to be made here, so
I think
gosh, not great options.
not great options. You're getting down to the wire. I almost feel like you need to make a play on one of the yellow rocks because you've got to move all 3 of them to make that redstone score. Unless you think you can score 3 of your next 4, which is possible too. There's still places to hide. You can still try to freeze, but freezes are tough to make perfect. When you've got such a good hitting team like Team Epping who can throw it pretty hard, unless you lock it on perfect, they can still pick it out. So you can also do just a straight draw to the back 8, which is maybe what they're doing here. This isn't a bad call. They're tempting John to run the Yellowstone into that redstone, but I don't think John will bite. If it goes in the back 8, I expect John would just follow it down and sit in front of that redstone. John doesn't want to touch his yellows. He's got first shot stone, 3rd, and 4th now. He doesn't ever want to accidentally take out his own stone. That just helps Team Gauthier.
Well, it looks like he's maybe trying to get to that top red one.
Yeah, it's really tight. Might be makeable. He also seemed to maybe indicate a split. I'm not sure if that's what he actually indicated, but he could split the yellow one and roll the shooter in and sit 1, 2, 3 again. He would sit 1, 2, 3, and 5. He could draw and freeze down to that redstone. Sit 1, 2, 4.
Looks like they may be settling into his back one here.
The coming to the back one is honestly the easiest shot. I think you know that line as well. You've seen Jacques just play it. Even if you're a little bit heavy and bump the red one, that's fine, right? As long as you're close to it, to back 8, to just through the rings, I think there is some margin of error on that shot. We are heading down to the second of the 3rd stones here in the last end. If you're just joining us, 6-3 lead for Team Epping. They just cracked open a big 3 in the 7th end. Really nice shot from John Epping to make a slash for that 3. Not terribly difficult, but didn't have a lot of room due to the guard.
When you got Jansen sweeping for you, he makes a lot of, helps with a lot of makes there.
Yeah, and I don't know if the cameras do him justice on his size. He is a big guy. I've played against him a couple times back in the day. He can really put a lot of pressure on that broom. So, looks like they're coming down to the back one. Maybe even tapping it out if they have the right weight.
A lot of room here. It's going to have to work, but it's coming
Well, that Jansen's working.
That Jansen.
Yeah.
Never a doubt.
Yeah, I think he pushes it far enough back. So now again, Epping sitting 1, 2, and 3. The good news, I guess, for Team Gauthier is they are sitting 4 and 5. They got a couple rocks in there. There is a potential double on the yellows, but it probably jams. But I think you do have to move one of the yellows now. I think it's very hard for them to count 3 using their last 3 stones. I think they probably need to make one of the reds count.
Yeah.
If not both. If you're going to count one, you're probably going to count both, right? Because they're pretty much the same distance from the middle.
Playing the double off the back ones, just the easier ones, I guess, for now, and sort it out later.
Yeah, you can play the double off the back and sit second shot, right? John will probably have to deal with it because you're second.
Sweepers hard for line here.
maybe that's what they were trying, though. The
What was
hidden
it
roll. Maybe it might have been the hidden roll.
Maybe
They were
not, okay.
sweeping the straight side, I think, there at the end. So I don't know. The broom looked like they were trying to double.
That's that's what I would have thought in the back of the house, because you could
Yeah.
almost hide underneath the shot that they just hit, right?
Correct. A little bit of an overcurl. There's, I think, already a little bit of air there. If they overcurled it hair, they would have been partially buried behind the yellow, and then John's in a little bit of a pickle situation, right? Do you run your own rock back and risk missing everything? So it was a good call from Team Gauthier, just maybe a little bit misexecuted.
Yeah, because John just picks us out, and then what do you got left here? Or I mean,
John.
Yeah, even if he rolls out, it's not a great situation for Gauthier.
Yeah, I'm having a look. If you roll out, is there a double on the yellow, on the top 12, and the one biting the back 8? Maybe. So I think you probably want to stick around, try to roll it behind the guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little roll. Pretty good shot. Is the triple there? Might be.
Ooh, that's a... Yeah! Yeah, I mean, just...
It's not that far off from nose, I think.
Just a hair high side, yeah.
I think just a hair high side, based on this overhead.
Yeah, and then they keep the shooter, yeah. But then what are they?
The tough thing about keeping the shooter is you might leave that double on the top 2 red stones, and then it would be game over, right? So
yeah, you almost have to roll pretty big, I guess. Because you imagine John would take a chance at that double, right? Or yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, if you leave him the double, he'll play the double. I don't know if it's possible to make the triple and roll behind the corner guard. But maybe even making the double, you give yourself a chance, right? You can make the double and roll behind the corner. John has to be very careful with the placement of his last stone.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty close to high side here. Maybe
a little bit too much over. This needs to stick around if Jacques really going to have a chance. It doesn't, rolls out. The good news is Jacques' 2 rocks are still covered, actually.
Yeah.
But John can probably just play a shot into the rings and make sure he doesn't leave a triple, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was coming in, but maybe... And that's a tough shot, of course, but it's one that you may have a chance to just overthrow anyways, because you're ideally trying to move 3, so we'll see. So what do you see here, like top 4 or like T line, just on the opposite side?
Yeah, I think that does it. If you're even with the other yellow one,
there's nothing. Yeah.
Even if you're deeper than that, there's nothing. It's very hard as it is, anywhere you put it, actually.
Yeah.
Because you'd also have to avoid the jam as well on any triple. Epping trying to get this to the top of the floor area. It actually comes up quite light.
So
this actually has a chance here. That's 2 inches light, Mark.
Wow. I wouldn't have expected that. I mean, if anything, you can be heavy there, right?
Yeah, you can be a little bit heavy. You really just need it to be more in the 12-foot than those 2 red stones.
Yeah.
And That wasn't that much. Now,
He
this
doesn't need a
isn't the
triple here.
easiest.
Just the
No,
double, right?
Just the double. I think you'll avoid the jam because I think you'll just go through that hole if you hit it right. You can't. If you hit it too thin, I guess you could jam it and maybe still leave the yellow out counting the other redstone. But it is definitely there. You have to be very weight controlled here because obviously you don't have much room to roll out either. You can roll a couple of feet and still be closer, but not too much more. Well, I didn't think we were going to see this situation, but
No.
maybe some bonus curling is in store for this afternoon.
And no difference here on the turn, right? No difference in playing the intern, even though it looks visually a little tougher. What are they doing for the spin?
Yeah, I mean, visually the outturn looks better, but it's more natural to hit it with the in-turn or the clockwise turn. It's always really awkward to cross the face on the one you're hitting and then have the other rock redirect the other way.
And we'll see what Gauthier has here.
Here we go.
Sweeper's on it early. I like this weight for this shot.
It looks like it might be over.
Might be over curling just a touch. Yeah, Sweepers are rough.
Never really had a chance out of his hand. It is only a single point for Team Gauthier and his handshakes, and well, a big opportunity there to tie the game and have some bonus curling for the fans, but tight game up until the 7th end, and even that last end with the 5 rock free guard zone still was pretty exciting, Mark.
Oh yeah, they had a chance for sure. We didn't think it was going to be there, but they had a chance.
Well, there are still a few games on the Curling Stadium streams. You're going to just go to curlingzone.com, click the other links if you're not already there. Mark, I will be back for the 4:30 Mountain Time draw if it starts on time.
Yep.
But until then, I guess we should thank the Curling Stadium crew, Jerry Gertz, Roy McCusker, James Gordon, if you're there as well. I'm not sure who's working. My name is Jason Chang, Mark from Oklahoma, so maybe I'll see you in a later draw.
Yeah, I'll be around.
All right, signing off for now.
Bye, everyone.